Good morning. We are in Canterbury. Today we are going to see a crooked bookstore, or a bookstore with a crooked door, the cathedral, and the oldest church in the English-speaking world, which really just means the oldest church in England, because this is the oldest part of the English-speaking world.
First stop on day one, we head to see the famous cathedral.
If Canterbury Cathedral is famous for one thing, it's probably for the killing of Thomas Becket. In the 12th century, 1150s, 1160s, King Henry II, he got the idea, I'll make my buddy, Thomas Becket, also the Archbishop of Canterbury, the most senior church position in England, and then I'll have all the power. Problem is, Thomas Becket then did a good job. He was representing the church's interests, not Henry's. Henry was unhappy about this, supposedly complained to some of his knights, something to the effect of, will someone rid me of this difficult priest, or something along those lines. They went off and did it, came here, killed Thomas Becket in the cathedral. This is the door the knights came through. Walked right over here. Did the job right there. This had a terrible PR effect for Henry and for the crown overall. This caused waves of people to come visit the spot. The Pope sainted Thomas Becket. Pilgrims came in from all over the place. It was a really bad look. Fast forward several hundred years later, King Henry VIII is accomplishing his creation of the Church of England, getting rid of Catholicism in the country. He came, cleaned out all of the Catholic stuff, including the relics. Pilgrims stopped coming, and this became the seat of the Church of England.
Let's go check out the chapter house where the monks of the priory for hundreds of years would gather, and I'll use our guidebook to demonstrate the acoustics.
The superb wagon vaulted roof, circa 1400, is made of Irish oak. The stained glass windows depict scenes from British history, and the subject matter is mirrored on both sides. You are dismissed.
Inside the cathedral, we're treated to some stunning Lierne vaulting, as well as some of the oldest stained glass in all of England. A couple of these panels date from the 12th century. In the crypt, modern art recalls an ancient murder in and among the Romanesque vaulting. The St. Eustace mural from 1480 is pretty nice, though it doesn't quite keep up with the contemporary Renaissance artists over on the continent. With all this art and history on the inside of the cathedral, I wonder what's on the outside.
Chamber of Ducks.
Fancy packaging.
It must be collector ducks or something.
Alright, that's enough ducks. Let's go check out the Crooked bookstore. Crooked and wonky, the bookstore has just as much character on the inside as it has on the outside. Such a fascinating place, we had to pick up something.
In a burst of originality, I'm picking up a copy of Canterbury Tales, the Crooked bookstore. Ready for a headache. What is happening? Turn again lane, presumably because you go down it, and you gotta turn again because you're at the end.
Next up, we headed out on foot to go deeper into the medieval period and check out the oldest church in Canterbury, one of the oldest ones in England, back to the time of the Saxons. This gate leads to St. Martin's, an unassuming little parish church with a remarkable story. In the early years of the Anglo-Saxon kings, the pagan King Ethelbert of Kent married Bertha, a Christian from the Frankish kingdom over in modern-day France. Ethelbert was tolerant of his wife's beliefs, establishing this church for her sometime between 580 and 597 AD, in part reusing Roman materials if not structures, like these bricks. The baptismal font is a good 500 years younger. Let's pop outside.
These are obviously Roman bricks here. And apparently this was a Roman wall, so it might have been a Roman structure. It might have been a structure built in the Roman style with this Roman doorway right here. And then this over here is a Saxon doorway cut into that wall or potentially built into it if it's a Saxon structure. This big extension over here was Saxon, built in 597.
597 AD. This is the year that a monk named Augustine, sent by the Pope to Christianize Kent, arrived and made this his base, expanding the church and establishing the first major foothold of his religion on this island. Nearby, it's possible to visit this small museum at the site of St. Augustine's Abbey. Softened up by Bertha's beliefs and en route to his own conversion, King Ethelbert allowed Augustine to establish an abbey, the ruins of which are buried underneath these more recent ruins of a Norman monastery built by William the Conqueror after his invasion in 1066. This, the north porticus of Augustine's Church of Saints Peter and St. Paul, is all that is visible of that much older structure. It's a peaceful spring evening in town, and a little walk is a nice way to finish up the day. The next morning, we're on the road early, heading to Richborough Roman Fort, but we have a critical stop that we have to make first.
Turn right.
Turning right, same direction those horses are.
Let's see where.
So this is Richborough Roman Fort. There's a couple different things that we're looking at here. This is the entrance to it. This wall here is a 3rd century fortification. It's massive, it goes around the whole place. What's behind me to the right is much older than that. Well, this is obviously a reconstruction, but it is in the location where it originally was. This was from the 1st century AD, and this was the fortifications that the Romans built at the harbor to protect their ships when they were invading. Richborough is the point where the Roman invasion of Britain started. Right now, the river is down there and it's a long ways to the sea, but apparently in the 1st century AD, when the invasion started, this was right on the sea. And it was a great place for the Romans to turn up and begin their conquest of Great Britain, which they did right here.
This enigmatic little cross-shaped rise would have been the center of a 4-way arch, one of the largest in the ancient Roman Empire, at its peak standing more than 80 feet tall. These remnant walls recall buildings from the Roman town built up at the fort in the early centuries of the Roman occupation. These ditches, built later, cut right through them, as defensive works became more important than domestic life. On the way home, we have one final important piece of business to attend to.
We've come to the town of Sandwich for lunch. We're gonna have sandwiches here.
Brie and bacon. That's good.